in the room and in the Zoom room for this Erev Shabbat service. This is a Shehecheyanu moment for sure, because it is our first service with Rabbi Jen Queen.
Thank you.
But I'm not going to talk at you anymore because we have to start out with a little singing. Then we'll get to a little more talking and then a lot more singing. Shabbat Shalom.
Hello.
So as we enter into this very special Shabbat, I want to invite you to just get ready to enter into Shabbat time, to this sanctuary and time, this island and time, from wherever you're sitting right now, and just begin to become aware of your breath and what your body is feeling like, and if any parts of your body need a little love and stretching or loosening. Kabbalat Shabbat means the receiving of Shabbat, and in order to receive, we need to be open. So how can we cultivate spaciousness and openness in ourselves, but not just in our minds, in our hearts, in our bodies? All of it is connected. And so we really want to be open to receive the gift of sacred time to connect to that which so transcends this moment, this particular circumstance, individually, communally. We are here tonight to enter into the ancient island in time that has for so many millennia been a blessing and a gift to our people. So, as I said, this is our first service with Rabbi Queen here on the Bima. You've heard that we can really harmonize together, and it's such a gift to have that. And of course, Andy's here with us to lend his harmonies and his guitar, and Josh is here. You'll hear some of his voice tonight too, while he also manages the tech. So I want to just extend a welcome to everybody who's watching on Facebook or on TOS Live and on Zoom, and we're happy that despite the challenges of the flood in our physical space, which has led to some alterations in this chapel for the time being to make space for some other things. Thank you for bearing with us, and so glad that we could come together in this way. Believe me, the sanctuary would have been way too hot. It is not air conditioned. So we're very happy to be here. We really want to, you might want to roll your shoulders back as a physical gesture of that openness. Let's really come into some spaciousness. Maybe think back to where you were a week ago when you entered into Shabbat. And you may not have been participating in a service. You may not have been doing something particular to Shabbat. But where were you and where are you now? And we will also want to be mindful of what moments of joy that are present for it. What are we holding in terms of any simchas, any joyous moments, large or small, that we can bring out and lift up in the community, virtually and in person. Does anyone have a simcha shout out before we light our candles? Something beautiful and wonderful. It could be, doesn't have to be big and momentous to share as we connect. I would like to share that we have a guest here who has only been on Zoom until now, and that is Mimi. Yay! She's here in the room. Zoom folks, you all know Mimi. She's been joining us from California for 2.5 years. And so
Amazing.
That is my simcha shout out. Anyone else?
Sweet.
Denise.
Well, most people know it. I actually did retire 3 months ago, but my former colleagues wouldn't let me go without a party, so next Friday evening, and sorry, Rabbi Jen, that I can't be here for you, they are throwing me a party, and I'm very excited, because a lot of former colleagues who worked with me and left before I did are coming, so I'm very excited about that party.
That's wonderful. Mazel tov again. Spence.
My son and his wife, Eddie and Rachel, will have their first wedding anniversary on Monday.
Mazel tov to Eddie and Rachel.
I'm from New York about an hour.
Wonderful. Anyone else? Let's see.
Rabbi?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Esther. Go ahead.
I stitched a train in an art lab and it's 3D.
Oh,
Wonderful.
that's exciting.
Thank you. And oh, wonderful. Diane and Michael's daughter is here from Florida for Michael's Iron Man.
Nice.
Just like me.
Wow.
Michael competes in Iron Man. We're so similar. Good luck, Michael. That's amazing.
That's
And
awesome.
that's wonderful. So, okay, may we enter into Shabbat just really connecting to the moments of joy and gratitude. And I'm so grateful to have my new colleague here and for us to all be together. We're going to turn to candlelighting on page 2. Rabbi Queen will do us the honor of lighting the candles while we sing the blessings. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת. We are going to turn to page 24 for Shalom Aleichem. We're going to sing the melody from Nava Tehillah. As you know, they were with us in May, and I had the blessing of being present for their service in Jerusalem 2 weeks ago.
Amazing.
And so if you haven't heard this before, it's really easy to learn. And please join us as you're able. Just yai-da-dai if the words in the new melody are too much.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seidchem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
So we often sing part of Psalm 96, which is on page 13. And the really fun thing about the Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat is that over time, over a long, long period of time, and in many, many places around the world, different melodies have been composed for different pieces and excerpts of the various Psalms. So often we sing Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, but tonight we're going to sing a melody that was also composed by Nava Tehillah from Jerusalem, and it's Ya'aloz Sadai. And those of you who were here when they were here, or even in more recent weeks we've done it, will recognize it. So it's 4 lines up from the bottom on page 13 in the transliteration or in the Hebrew. And this has a really different flavor from that Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash. So we can all connect differently to different melodies. So it's fun to experiment with some new ones and see how it might hit us differently. And Ya'aloz Sadai, if you want to connect to the translation, you can go to. This is about all the trees of the forest shouting for joy. On page 14, let the heavens rejoice and the earth exult. Let the sea and all within it thunder, the fields and everything in them exult. Then shall all the trees of the forest shout for joy at the presence of Adonai. Imagine nature itself rejoicing. Ya'aloz Sadai.
Ya'aloz Sadai, v'kol asher bo, Ya'aloz Sadai, ay, 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 Ya'aloz Sadai, v'kol asher bo, Ya'aloz Sadai, ay, 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 az yiranenu kol hatzeyar, az yiranenu kol hatzeyar, az yiranenu kol hatzeyar, az yiranenu kol hatzeyar, Ya'aloz Sadai, v'kol asher bo, Ya'aloz Sadai, ay, 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 Ya'aloz Sadai, v'kol asher bo, Ya'aloz Sadai, ay, 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 az yiranenu kol hatzeyar, az yiranenu kol hatzeyar, az yiranenu kol hatzeyar, az yiranenu kol hatzeyar, Ya'aloz Sadai, v'kol asher bo, Ya'aloz Sadai, ay, 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 So as Rabbi Berkman said, Shabbat is this incredible opportunity. It's been talked about as a time out of time, a palace in time. And it's really also an opportunity, a challenge, if we choose to accept it, for us to step into a different mindset, a totally different way of being, of experiencing the world. Not so much the world as it is, but the world as it could be. A world where there's a little less schlepping and a little more shalom, peace, and a little more shalem, wholeness. The Kabbalists likened this experience of Shabbat to being in the presence of a bride or a queen. We imagine ourselves, stop. We imagine ourselves standing before something beyond ourselves. Our tradition invites us into an opportunity to give over to joy, to pause even just for a moment, to reconnect with that which is most important to us, and to bask in the splendor of simply being human. With that, we will turn to page 20 and 21 for Lecha Dodi, the Kabbalists' liturgical poetry likening Shabbat to a bride. And at the end of the verses that we will sing together, verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, we will rise and face the doors as if to welcome that bride or that queen, but really that spirit of Shabbat that we might inhabit, maybe just for the time that we're here, maybe just for this Friday evening, or maybe, if you choose to accept the challenge, for the next 25 hours as Shabbat settles in over us and enwraps us within its spirit. So Lecha Dodi on page 20. Yadadai dai dai, yadai yadai yadai, yadai yadai yadai, yadai dai dai dai, yadai dai dai, yadai yadai yadai, yadai yadai yadai, yadai dai dai dai. Oh, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat lekavela. Oh, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat lekavela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, ishmi'anu el ha'meyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem ol tiferet b'hitila. Oh, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekavela. Oh, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekavela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha, ki mekor haberacha, berosh mikedem ve'sucha, sof maseh b'makshavat tchila. Oh, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat Shabbat, B'nai Shabbat nekabelam.
Verse 5.
Hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva orech, kumi ori, 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 shir daberi, kavod Adonai, alayich nigla, olech Adoni likrat kala, B'nai Shabbat nekabela, olech Adoni likrat kala, B'nai Shabbat nekabela. Please rise if you are able. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam besimcha uvetzola, toch emunei am zegola, boi chala, boi chala, olech Adoni likrat kala, B'nai Shabbat nekabela, olech Adoni likrat kala, B'nai Shabbat nekabela.
Well, it's time for our wow psalm. Now, I have to share with you a very funny moment of wow that is related to this psalm and how we sing it. Ma Gadlu. For years and years, I've been telling you to turn to page 342, where the psalm is excerpted and we can sing Ma Gadlu together. Well, today, my new colleague shared with me that, in fact, you can also find these words on page 71, much, much closer to where we just were. So already
I'll be
she
here
is
all week.
well worth it. This hire was already such a success. So I'm going to have to get used to this. Turn to page 71 at the top. So you just don't have to turn as far. And there you have it. The words that are excerpted from Psalm 92, which is the only psalm that it really goes out of its way to tell you it's a psalm for Shabbat. And why would a psalm for Shabbat be have this in it? Ma gadlu ma'asecha ya. How amazing is your creation, God. Me'od amku machshavotecha. So deep are your thoughts. Hallelujah. Like, I can't even express it. I don't even have words. Just let's praise Yah. So we're just going to think of something that gave us that sense of awe and wonder with which, if we really enter into Shabbat, we can give ourselves that gift of connecting to awe and wonder, even around something that is small. If you can identify a wow moment, just a moment where you felt awe and wonder in the past week or beyond, connect with that moment as we sing Hallelujah and the words at the top of the page. Hallelujah, 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 turn to page 28 for the Baruch Hu, asking ourselves, asking each other, are we ready? Have we received Shabbat with Kabbalat Shabbat? Are we ready to transition into Ma'ariv, into the evening prayer service? Baruch Hu on page 28. Please rise in body or spirit as you are able. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai Amorah Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. On page 30, giving thanks for the turning of night to day and day to night. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב הערבים.
In addition to Shabbat as an opportunity for us to pause, it's also a beautiful opportunity to take the time to simply notice the true wonder of the world, of capital C creation. The Kabbalists, the Jewish mystics, say that before creation, everything was God. They called this Ein Sof, endless, boundless Godness. So when God decided to create what we know as creation, God had to retract a part of God's self to make room in the endless, boundless Godness for something, anything else. The mystics call this process tzimtzum. The act of making space is an act of total, utter, pure love and compassion, the way that we make space in our lives when we want to be in relationship with one another, when we want to spend our time and our energy doing something that contributes to the world outside of ourselves. We pull a piece of ourselves back to make room for an expansion of something else. In this part of our service, over the next few pages, Ahavat Olam, the Shema, and Ve'ahavta, we reflect on that love and think about how we might express that love in the world, within our relationships, and express gratitude for this wondrous gift that is our world.
Page 32.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta Amcha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu lemadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu Uvkumeinu nasiach b'chukecha V'nismach l'divrei toratecha V'mitzvotecha olam va'ed Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu Uvahem negei yomam v'layla negei yom
page 34. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. We can be seated. V'ahavta, page 36. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בעם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובישעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם. אמן.
Rabbi Meir ibn Gabbai, a 16th century Spanish Kabbalist, writes, all his days, Moses never needed prompting from nigunim, from the wordless melodies that we yadadai to invoke the spirit of prophecy. He said there was no withdrawal of spirit or the flow of divine light to Moses. This was not the case for the rest of the prophets, who needed nigunim to awaken their spirit and invoke prophecy upon them. Even though, when standing on the shores of the sea, Exodus tells us, Va'az yashir Moshe, and Moses sang. And Moses does sing, and as the verbs are written in the singular, Va'az yashir Moshe. However, the Midrash interprets this as Moses singing alone to God. This is a moment where he has access to this incredible experience of exaltation through song. He doesn't need it, but he's doing it anyway. But then Miriam sings, V'ta'an lahem Shiru Ladonai. Miriam answers them, responds to them, and they sang to Adonai. That is, Miriam chimes in, and not only does she lend her voice, but she brings the voices of the entire people of Israel in with her to add to this song as the Israelites stand on the shores of the sea as they have just experienced the exodus from Egypt. And on page 40, we get to sing along to their song of redemption, Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedad ba'kodesh, norat teilat, osef eleh, norat teilot, osef eleh, malchutecha going to sing our lullaby evening blessing, part of it, Hashkivenu on page 42. Just going to sing this as a round. Let us lie down, Adonai, our God, in peace. Let us stand up again to a new day, our guardian, to life. We can all recognize that word, l'chaim, to life. So we pray that we rest so that we can enter again into the work, into the ways that this world needs us. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim.
Hamidenu
Eloheinu leShalom v'hamidenu Eloheinu lechaim.
Hamidenu
Adonai Eloheinu leShalom v'hamidenu Eloheinu lechaim.
Hamidenu shomreinu lechaim.
Hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Let's sing the third line down. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. May we all experience feeling held, feeling loved, feeling connected, feeling safe. Ufros aleinu sukat, sukat shlomecha. Ufros aleinu sukat, sukat shlomecha. Baruch atah Adonai Aporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Going to turn to the Amidah, beginning with Adonai Sfatai Tiftach on page 46. And we'll actually get to learn a little bit of a new melody. I think this is new for all of us. It comes from another Israeli prayer community, Beit Tfilah Yisraeli. And we will sing it together on page 46, and then we'll pray together aloud the first three blessings of the Amidah through page 52. And we'll just enjoy some moments of quiet reflection or prayer from the words in the book before we join back together with a prayer for peace, which will reflect the melody that we'll use for Adonai Sfatai. So we rise as we are able for the Amidah. Page 46.
Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Page 46. Adonai, Sefatai Tifta, Ufi Agid, Tehilatecha, Adonai, Sefatai Tiftach, Fiagid, Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, U'mevii Geula livnei bneihem, Leman Shemo v'Yahava, Melech Ozer Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Be'ezrat Sarah. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ברופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. We continue individually. The middle of page 62, please continue your individual prayers if you are not finished. When you're finished with them, you can be seated for Yihu L'Ratzon and Oseh Shalom, middle of page 62. Yihu L'Ratzon Imrei Be'yom libi lefanecha Adonai Turi Yai, dai, 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 dai. 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 So, having offered our prayer for peace, we offer our prayer for refuah, for healing, refuat hanefesh and refuat haguf, healing of body and healing of spirit and healing of body. So we call to mind and heart those for whom we are praying. Sometimes it feels like we could easily pray for this whole wide world for so many different reasons. But if there are individuals or communities for whom you want to offer this prayer tonight, we give you the opportunity to bring those names into our space. Here in the room, you can raise your hand and share a name or names. On Zoom, you can type them into the chat, and I will read them and bring them into the space that way. Anyone in the room praying for healing? Denise. Scott Clark.
Lois Rubin, Asia Zimbabwe.
Lois Rubin and
Asia Zimbabwe.
Asia Zimbal.
Liesel, Allen, Jerry, Susan.
Liesel, Allen, Jerry,
Susan.
Susan. Mimi. Ken Waller. And on Zoom, we have the names Judy Trojan, Esther Yano, Amos Lassen, Kobe Gray. From our community, Karen Landman, Hasia Bat Shalom Vechana, Lindy Lieberman, Joyce Golden, Esther Yano, Linda Hoffman, Leah Bat Kayla, Esther Nashama, Karen Weber, Esther Tzvia Bat Asher Venachama, Judy Shepro, Yisrael Beryl, Ben Galia Rachel Velabel Yankel, Naomi Fisher, Naomi Bat Zipporah Yosef, Chaim Mesh, Dalia Bat Miriam, Cassandra Warshavsky, Chaya Blima Bat Chaim Chia Vasilia Rucho, Jeffrey Colt, Joseph Siegel, Yosef Ben Herschel Verut, Glenna Bub, and Julia Berkman. We turn to the Misha Berach to offer our prayer on middle of page 253.
Misha Berach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
I'm so delighted to welcome Rabbi Queen to offer her words of Torah from the Bima for her first official time as our assistant rabbi.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Berkman. It is such an incredible honor to be here for my very first service as the assistant rabbi for TOS. Today marks 1 week on the job, and I've spent it surrounded by my new colleagues who have been so incredibly generous with their time and their energy, helping me get oriented and settled into this very exciting role. In preparing for starting, this job, I couldn't help but notice, among all of the unique qualities of Temple Ohabei Shalom, one of which is the fact that this community is led by a majority female team. With Rabbi Berkman and Sherry and Amy at the helm, Daria, Cassie, and Stacy doing so much behind the scenes. These boss ladies do so much for this place to make it run most effectively and efficiently, and I am just so excited to be counted among them. Also, shout out to like all of my colleagues, but you know, I don't want to leave anybody out. So when I was growing up, there were certainly some female leaders in my community, but the numbers were not nearly equal or equitable by any measure to those in positions of power and leadership who happened to identify as men. At home, I was never explicitly told that being a girl or female would ever limit me in any way, or that would cause me to be treated differently, or that certain opportunities would be more difficult to attain. But worry not, folks. Society at large, the world around me, between school and the media, and yes, even our sacred texts, would never, ever, ever let me forget that women are often not only held to impossible standards, even still, of physical appearance and social etiquette, and experience a lack of equity, of access to opportunities and to fair pay in the workplace, even still. But also, so often women are pushed off to the sides, left out altogether, preventing me and really anyone who doesn't identify as a cis male from seeing ourselves reflected in our text and in our tradition and in our world in meaningful ways. So today, by way of introducing myself, I am very pleased to introduce to you one of my very favorite biblical characters who just so happens to be a woman. Her name is Serach bat Asher, Serach, daughter of Asher, AKA the woman I like to call the Jewish people's immortal-ish memory keeper, who you've likely never heard of. And this isn't some random niche clique of radical feminist theologians that made her up. This woman has captured the imagination of generations of rabbis, inspiring all manner of midrash, aka rabbinic fan fiction, and that weaves her throughout the biblical narrative, nearly start to finish, placing her at key moments and in pivotal roles, allowing her influence to reverberate across biblical time and Jewish history. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, when a woman is named in the biblical text, we gotta pay attention. It is a pretty big deal. And Serach is not only named once, she is named twice at radically different times. Let me show you. The first time, we meet her way back at the beginning in the book of Genesis. She is named alongside her brothers during an accounting of the tribes of Jacob as they prepare to travel to Egypt to escape the famine. So this happens many generations before we experience the Israelites' slavery in and then exodus from Egypt. And the second time we see Serach is actually in this week's Parsha, in the middle of the book of Numbers, really close to the end of our biblical narrative, in a census that's taken as the people prepare to enter the promised land. A census, I should add, in which women literally did not count. So, this means that Serach was around from the time of Jacob, as in from Abraham, Isaac, and, all the way through the entirety of the Israelites' servitude in Egypt, through the entirety of the 40 years of wandering in the desert. That is, according to biblical time, 5 generations. And while biblical time is admittedly a little wonky, according to the Midrash, her influence extends well beyond these 2 particular shout-outs. According to the Midrash, it was Serach, with her gentle voice and proficiency on the harp, who broke the news to her grandfather Jacob that his favorite son Joseph was still alive, even after years of thinking he was dead. And for the kindness and compassion Serach showed to Jacob, she was repaid, sort of, with eternal life. And it was this immortality that allowed her to become the keeper of the institutional knowledge of the Israelite and then the Jewish people from there on forward. According to the Talmud, it was Serach who was able to tell Moses where to find Joseph's bones so they might be carried with the Israelites when they left Egypt. And it was Serach who is said to have suddenly appeared in a Talmudic era classroom sometime between like 400 and 700 CE, that is roughly 1,500 to 2,000 years later after the Exodus, during a conversation about the Exodus, about what the water might have looked like as the Israelites passed between the split sea. She corrects the students. The water, she says, neither looked like it was held back by netting or lattice work, as the students had guessed, but rather by beautiful panes of glass. And her fame extends beyond the canon of biblical literature. According to contemporary scholar Mark Bregman, Persian Jews believe that Serach bat Asher actually lived among them, and she died in a great fire in one of their synagogues in the 12th century. That particular synagogue, which stood until the 19th century, was named for Serach bat Asher. And even still in the Iranian exile, Jews still pray to Serach and invoke her name, and still travel back when they have the opportunity to visit the site where her synagogue once stood, treating it very similarly to the tombs of the matriarchs and patriarchs in Israel. The room at the center of the synagogue was said to have magical walls and doorposts that only people of good character and strong moral quality could pass through. Otherwise, the doorway and the walls would shrink in their presence. So why in the world would I want you to know about this lady whose name is dropped a couple times and whose life story is largely fantastical speculation? Because as I said, when women are named in the Bible, we need to listen up. Like in the biblical census in this week's Parsha, in biblical times and even today in some Jewish communities, women do not count. In our broader society, women's needs, their well-being, their very lives are often seen and treated as less than. And as a woman in a position of leadership, it's my privilege to lift up little-known characters like Serach bat Asher and to tell the story of women and others who've been historically marginalized, who are so often left out, but whose perspectives are so incredibly valuable and add to the richness of our history and our tradition, who, like Serach, might just become the keepers of our collective memory, helping us remember who we are, how far we've come, and yes, how far we still have to go. I am so excited for this incredible opportunity to serve this community, to bring my perspective on our ancient wisdom, to introduce you not only to me and to my Torah, but to learn your Torah, to learn who you are. There is so much more to come, and I'm so excited to get started. Shabbat Shalom.
Yishar kochech, beautiful. Thank you so much. We'll turn to page 282 for Aleinu. Please rise as you're able. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו לגופי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש Baruch Hu. Page 287. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. We can be seated. At this time, some of you may be remembering a loved one on their yard site, anniversary of a death, or are in a period of mourning for a loved one. So we want to give you the chance to recite Mourner's Kaddish, and tonight you have a printed bulletin for, or not. Do we have, this is the first time we've had a printed bulletin in a while, so raise your hand if you do have a bulletin. I just want to know this for next time. Okay. Some of you, not all of you. Apologies, we're working out the kinks in the system. But I am sorry because we do have a printed yard site list. And we also are sharing that, as you can see, those online. We're sharing that list here of members of our community who have died at this time in seasons past. So is anyone here in the physical room observing a yard site or in a period of mourning? Yes, Bunny. May their memory be a blessing. Anyone else?
My cousin Nathan, Sarah.
May their memory be a blessing.
Suzanne Stein.
May your memory be a blessing. I'll look to see if anyone online that we can hear from in the chat is remembering anyone in particular. Diane's beloved brother, Gene Rosen, may his memory be an eternal blessing, Diane. Those of you who are watching online but don't have access to the Zoom chat, it's really important also for you to bring the name or names of your loved ones into the space. So I do encourage you to say the name aloud, even though we here in the physical room and others on Zoom tonight can't hear you. But we really are one community together, all of us here, and we are together for Mourner's Kaddish. If it is your custom, regardless of whether you are in mourning or observing a yard site, to rise for Mourner's Kaddish, please do. It's on page 294 and shared on the screen. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Bi'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chaye chon u'v'yomei chon u'v'chaye d'chol Beit Yisrael. B'agala u'v'zman koriv ve'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar, v'yit alev, v'yit halal, shmei d'kudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran bi'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav u'yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Amen. We can be seated. It's just a couple of announcements. Tomorrow morning, We are going to be having a young family Shabbat in the TOS parking lot, hoping it isn't quite yet the heat of the day, though it will be plenty hot, but we will be meeting for some singing and schmoozing at 10:30 a.m. Myself, Rabbi Queen, and Josh Cohen. Next Friday, I will be in Israel, God willing, with my family, and Rabbi Queen will be here along with Andy and Josh. I think you'll be in very good hands. And that will be next Friday, same as tonight. And you're welcome to come in person or join us online. We have a number of opportunities, both certainly this summer and then a lot in the fall, but there's a good number of opportunities this summer just to get together and schmooze and connect, which is what we all missed for a long time. And so we know that people's schedules around being in town might vary, but we really hope that you'll be able to keep up with the newsletter, the website, and see some opportunities you can join us. And if you're new here for the first time, welcome, welcome. And if you'd like to be on our mailing list, please let us know. We'll make sure you're on our list to receive our newsletter. We have a lot going on, a lot of exciting programming ahead during this 180th birthday year of our community. Really excited for a beautiful and exciting new chapter. So please join us going forward. After services, we'll have food set out in the chapel lobby as we did in the foyer as we did before. And for COVID safety, we will have the doors open. People are encouraged to go out onto the steps. Maybe the heat has died down, maybe just a little bit, but you can certainly stay inside as well, depending on your comfort level. And we hope you'll join us to say hello and Shabbat Shalom. All right, we will make Kiddush and Motzi, or Rabbi Queen will make Kiddush and Motzi on page 5. Please rise if you're able. Those at home, if you have Kiddush cup, and challah if you want to join in, please do.
ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל טבעם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו, אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. סברי,
לחיים.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו, בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחיל לנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת עם כל העמים, לשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
אמן. לחיים.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, המוציא לחם מן הארץ. Amen.
You can be seated, and we'll close with Olam Chesed Yibaneh. And if you don't know it, you'll know it soon enough. From the Psalms, it's about building a world based on chesed, on abundant compassion. It's shared on the screen as well for those online. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, dai, dai, yadadai, dai. 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 I will build this world from love. Yadadai, dai, dai, yadadai, dai. And you must build this world from love. Yadadai, dai, dai, yadadai, dai. And if we build this world from love, yadadai, dai, dai, yadadai, dai. Then God will build this world from love. Yadadai, dai, dai, yadadai, dai. Olam chesed yibaneh, 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 yadadai, dai, dai, yadadai, dai. Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.